In this exercise, we have 3 megaphones here of different sizes, and under each megaphone we have the sound level like this. We will start from here and we will end up with this result. So we are going to apply a gradient going from green to red to the sound levels. We are going to make some changes to the rectangle around the sound level, and we are going to change the colors of the megaphones. So we go to exercise 5 and open this file, megaphones. Here we find all the elements we're gonna need. I'm going to start with the gradient going from green to red here in the sound levels. So first of all, I'm going to select all the small red rectangles. To do that, I can press Shift and select these rectangles like this, these rectangles like this, or there's a much easier way. I can use this tool, the magic wand tool. I'll make one click on the red rectangle and it will select all the other rectangles. If I double click on the tool, I see fill color checked. That means when I click on something red, everything else with the red fill will be selected. If I click on something that's black, all the black elements will be selected. If I click on something gray, all the gray elements will be selected. So this tool can save us a lot of time. I'm going to click here. I select all the small red rectangles. I go to gradient, make sure the fill is selected. The fill is in front, and I'm going to apply a linear gradient like this. I'm going to change the angle to 90 degrees. I double click here. I'm going to choose the green color, and double click here. I'm going to choose the red color. We zoom on the sound levels, and this is not exactly what we want. We want the gradient to go from here, green, to here, red. And as you see, the gradient is applied to each and every small rectangle. That's not what we want, but we can solve that by clicking here. Make sure all the small rectangles are selected, object, compound path, and I click on make. Or I can select everything, right click, I click on make compound path, and now you notice we get exactly the result we wanted. You see the gradient going from green to red, and now all the small rectangles in Illustrator are just one shape, so it applies the gradient like this. I can right click and click on release compound path, and we will go back like this. I right click, I click on make compound path, and now compound path makes all the small rectangles together, and even if I try to move, I can't move them separately, they move together. Control Z to go back. Now I'm going to apply some changes to the megaphones. I'm going to change the colors and do a few other things. I click on the megaphone. I'm gonna click on here, start global edit, start editing similar shapes together. I click. Now you notice all the similar shapes are selected, all the similar illustrations are selected, and now every change I make to this illustration, every change I make to this shape will be applied to all the other shapes. I'm gonna zoom like this. I'm gonna select this tool, the lasso tool, and select these parts like this. I'm going to change the color from black to yellow, and notice All the other megaphones have also changed. We have yellow here and yellow here. I'm gonna go back. Direct selection tool this time. I'm gonna select this part, press shift, select this part and this part, and I'm gonna change the color from black to red. Now I'm gonna select this part separately. I'm going to apply the same color red, but I'm going to click here, color, and make sure I click on show options and make sure RGB is checked, and I'm going to choose a darker shade of the same red like this, slightly darker, and we get this result. I think this looks fine. Now I'm gonna select this part. I'm going to apply gradient. I click here. I'm gonna select the gradient tool and draw gradient going from here to here like this. I'm gonna change this color to a darker gray like this, and I'm going to change this color to a light gray like this. We get this result. Now, direct selection tool, I'm gonna select this part. I'm gonna apply a gradient, also gradient tool, and I'm gonna draw like this, a line going from dark gray to light gray. Direct selection tool, I'm gonna select this part. I'm gonna choose this shade of gray, the dark gray, and with direct selection tool, I'm gonna select this point, press shift, select this point, and I'm gonna move them together and make this part a little bit longer like this. And I'm going to round the corners a little bit like this. I'm gonna go to this part, click on this point, press shift, click on this point, and I'm gonna round the corners a little bit here. Now, as you see, all the changes I made to this illustration, to this shape, also applied to these shapes. So this tool, Global Edit, can save us a lot of time. Now I'm gonna click here, stop Global Edit, like this. I'm gonna select this rectangle now, start Global Edit. As you see, all the similar shapes are selected, and I'm gonna apply a few changes. First of all, I'm gonna make the corners a little bit round, just a little bit like this, and I'm going to apply gradient, linear gradient. Now Control Z, I'm gonna go back. I made a mistake. I want to apply the gradient to the stroke, so I click on the stroke, make sure the stroke is in front. I click on linear gradient. I'm gonna put this stop right here, add another stop here. I'm gonna set this to this gray, also this dark gray, and this I'm gonna set it to a light gray like this. We get this result, and now I'm gonna click here, apply gradient across stroke, and this is exactly the result I wanted. Now I'm gonna add a drop shadow effect, stylize, drop shadow, opacity 75, x offset, y offset 00, and blur 5. I click on OK, and now as you see, the changes have also applied. Now I can click on stop global edit, or I can simply click away like this and stop global edit. And now the exercise is finished. You go do the same, and don't forget to save.